Hi, I'm Ada County Public Information Officer Kate McGuire, and I'm sitting here today with our Chief Deputy from the Clerk's office. This is Phil McGrane, and with tomorrow being the 2018 primary election, I thought it would be a great time, sit down, talk with Phil, get some information, make sure the public is fully informed about all that leads up to the election and also what's going to happen tomorrow and stuff like that. So why don't we start with the early voting? So up until early voting started on April 30th. How's that been going?
It's been really active. The absentees, we have just over 8,000 people request absentee ballots, and I was down at the elections office earlier today, and we've got probably 1,500 of them came in today. We expect a lot more to even come in tomorrow. We certainly want people to be getting those to us because 8 p.m. tomorrow when the polls close is the deadline for those absentee ballots. But what we're really seeing is a lot of activity. This is a big election. We've got some big races that are going on. And so in terms of things, we've seen an uptick in participation both in the absentees as well as in our early voting efforts that we've had throughout the Treasure Valley. Nice.
So with the mobile voting, do you think that really made a difference with the food truck, as we like to call it, the food truck voting?
I think the food truck voting always has a big impact, especially on those outlying areas. So the most active area in the state of Idaho right now is District 14, which is the Eagle Star area. And
lots of growth.
Lots of growth.
Yep.
There's a lot of races in that area where there's prominence. But also, we were able to serve that area with the food truck voting. So we were out in Star, we were also in Eagle, and that provided some convenience and our highest numbers when we were at Eagle on Friday in terms of using the voting booth. So I think we've had a lot of great success this election.
It's so convenient for people. I mean, you know, we've got, you know, Meridian City Hall and Boise City Hall and of course Ada County elections. But putting that mobile voting trailer out there just really helps people sometimes that aren't able to make it to our standard locations.
And yeah, it just makes it more convenient for people. I know actually my parents voted at one of the locations right before they headed out of town. So I know that at least it serves somebody really well. And I know just looking at the numbers and the uptick that we've seen, it served a lot of people, as well as our permanent locations that you already mentioned.
Yeah, I have to say I love voting at the trailer. I find it fun. I love it. So, all right, so let's talk about tomorrow, maybe the preparation that goes into tomorrow, because putting on an election, it's a year-round business. And I'm not maybe sure people realize how much goes into the work that you guys do.
Yeah, we are actively working down. We've got a lot of people putting in late evenings, some long weekends, trying to get everything ready for the election. It's been a production for multiple months leading up till tomorrow. So tomorrow's the big day. We like to compare it to like if you're planning a wedding, right? You do all this time building up to it so you have this one big day event, and that's really how elections comes together. We have 150 polling locations that we will be serving tomorrow, and that is the logistics to get that together is a huge operation. So we feel pretty comfortable at this point in time. We're close enough. It's the calm before the storm. Everything's ready to go so that when voters show up at 8 a.m., things should be running smoothly. All our poll workers, we use about 900.
Lots of poll workers.
Lots of poll workers. We've been doing training for the past couple of months. So we'll have about 900 people out at the polls working just to make sure it all goes smoothly. But we feel like we're in a really good place and that things have come together.
Nice. So maybe let's talk about then tomorrow for Election Day. What should voters know going into tomorrow? Anything, maybe where to find their polling place, or can they register tomorrow at the polls?
There's a couple of things. One, we really encourage people today to be thinking about when they're going to vote tomorrow. If you have a plan, it'll be much easier and you'll ensure that you do get an opportunity to cast your vote. The first thing is look up where you're going to go. With all the growth that we've experienced recently, some of the polling locations have changed. We've had to add some new precincts, move some locations. So rather than go to multiple sites, we want to get everyone to the right place the first time. So we encourage people, look up, go to adacounty-elections.com. We have a neat tool where you can look up your polling location. And when you look up your polling location, you can also see a sample of your actual ballot that you'll be voting on. So if there's some of those races, you know, the down ticket races you're not familiar with, you haven't seen all the advertising for, there's a chance before you head to the polls to look up, make sure you have some informed decisions when you head to the polls and make that experience smoother.
I like to do that. I like to look up and make sure I know about each candidate. You know, sometimes there's names on there maybe I haven't seen as much publicized as others, so I find that so helpful when you get to see your ballot beforehand.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of use of the tool because of that, so that people can be prepared. I think one of the other things when people head to the polls, there's a couple of big things that'll be there. First, come with a photo ID. It'll make the process smoother.
Yep.
If for some reason you don't have a photo ID, you'll still have the opportunity to vote. You'll just have to fill out an affidavit saying you are who you say you are. That way we ensure the security of the process. But also, probably the bigger thing for this election, this is a primary election. So each of the political parties are selecting their nominees for the upcoming general election. And what that means is this is a partisan election. When you get to the polls, you're going to be asked a choice. What ballot do you want? And you have to choose between a Democratic ballot, a Republican ballot, and a nonpartisan ballot. The nonpartisan ballot only has judicial races on it. So if you're looking for any of these, you've seen a television ad or something, the nonpartisan ballot's probably not the choice that you're going to want to make. But what also makes it tricky is there are some unique rules to the partisan ballots. The Republican Party has selected to keep their primary closed, which means only registered Republicans can vote in that primary. The effect of that means that you either already have to be registered as a Republican, or if you haven't affiliated with a party currently, you can affiliate as a Republican on election day and select that ballot. If you're already a member of a different party, that ballot's not for you.
You can't change.
You cannot change on election day.
Okay.
Yep.
Got it.
Great. Hey, the deadline to change has passed. Just the opposite on the Democratic side. Anybody of any political stripe is allowed to choose the Democratic ballot, but you only get one or the other. You don't get both. And so that's always confuses voters. They want to be able to go across party lines. In the general election that'll come up in November, everyone gets to vote on everything. In this case, you choose one party or the other.
And that's why it's so helpful to view your ballot ahead of time, because maybe, you know, you were thinking about a certain race that you've been seeing a lot of attention for that race, and then maybe you get your ballot and say, wait, that name's not on my ballot, and that's because of the distinction between the parties.
And that's a great point. It's not just because of the distinction between the parties, although that's very true. It's also, there's a lot of television ads going on right now. There's a lot of yard signs out there. There may be someone you know in your community that you want to vote for. It helps to know if you're in that district that gets to vote on them. Congressional District 1 has a very active race for who's going to be the next congressman to replace Raul Labrador. Not everyone's going to get to vote on it. Actually, a lot of people here in the Boise area are in Congressional District 2, which means they'll be voting on the race with Mike Simpson. And so when you're looking at that, you want to know which of those two races you're going to be weighing in so that you don't say, wait, there's something missing on my ballot. It's not actually missing. It's just knowing what you're eligible for, and that goes down to some of those legislative and other local races. You may see signs out there, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you have the option to vote in that race. It's based on geography for each of the different candidates.
Yep, and then also I think for people to know that tomorrow, like you said, the parties are choosing who is going to be on the ballot come November.
Yeah, and really it depends on your area. It is a partisan race, and both parties have very active races, but it differs. So there's a very active legislative race in District 16, which is kind of the Garden City area up on the bench. They're in the Democratic primary, but in the Republican primary out in District 14, which is that Eagle Star area, there's a very active race. And so it really depends on your region, what you'll see on the ballot. So it's worth knowing what you're going to see before you go to the polls.
Yep. And again, the polls are open tomorrow, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m.
Yeah, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. We encourage everyone to take advantage of those times. The peak times are always very, very beginning of the day when people are trying to get in before they go to work. But the busiest by far is after 5 o'clock when people get off work. So if you have a chance on a lunch break or during the day and you're not too far from your polling location, stop in. It will always be during the main part of the day, be a very smooth process. We don't anticipate any real lines to speak of tomorrow. We're pretty well prepared for that.
Well, I was going to say, with the polling place changes, that was done to accommodate, maybe, you know, to reduce some of those lines.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, so it was a good thing. You know, a lot of people are curious of, well, how much growth, but, we did this so that to make it smoother for you on Election Day.
That's exactly right. Handling all that growth is why we added locations. As I mentioned, all the poll workers we have out, we have the supplies. We're ready for tomorrow in terms of the election, but still it's always busiest at the end of the day. So rather than waiting, make a plan so that you know where you're going to head to, you know what you're going to vote on. It'll make it smoother and you can get in, get out, and go about just living your life.
Get your sticker as quick as possible.
That's right.
So do you have any maybe guidance or pieces of advice that you would give to a voter on Election Day? We talked about the times, like maybe mid-morning, mid-afternoon seems to be the best time. Maybe it's someone's first time voting. Is there anything else that comes to mind for a first-time voter? It might seem intimidating. I think maybe a lot of people don't realize they can ask questions. right? Our poll workers are fully informed.
Our poll workers are ready to help anyone, especially for those first-time voters. One of the great things here in Idaho, if you're not registered to vote, you can do that on Election Day, or say your name changed or your address changed. It doesn't matter. Just find your regular location and you can register there at the polls and vote at the same time. That's unique. It doesn't happen that way throughout all of the country. And so if you show up, all you need to do is bring your photo ID and a proof of residence. So that could mean a utility bill, some piece of mail with your name and address on it, or even, we always advise people, if they forget, go out to their car in their glove box. Often your insurance information
for your hopefully car, it's in there.
Exactly. We'll have that information so you can prove where you live, and then you can register right there and vote. And that's one of the great things. Is for someone new, they shouldn't be intimidated by the process. We have the information. This is why we provide all those tools on our website so that people can look up what they're going to be voting on and can go through the process. And it really is a friendly process. I know all our poll workers, if you go in there, you're going to see some friendly faces from your local community who are willing to help and assist you through the process.
Some of the questions that, I haven't heard a ton of these, but you know, if they have kids, can their kids go up to the ballot box with them?
Yes.
When they're voting?
Yeah, absolutely. If you have kids, your kids can come with you. Of course, with anybody, whether it's dog, kids, or anything else, we don't want to disrupt the process, but we encourage it. Just last week, I went to my daughter's elementary school, and we were voting to kind of teach them so they could get their I voted sticker, and we want to teach future voters what the process is like so they're not intimidated by it when they head to the polls.
Yeah, so if you have your kids with you tomorrow, please don't let that stop you from coming out to vote tomorrow. All right, so let's talk about maybe the offices that could be on people's ballots tomorrow. Like we've said, every ballot is going to be different based on where you live. But what are some of the races that we're going to be seeing tomorrow?
So we've got a number of different races. It's a two-page ballot in the sense that there's a front side and a back side. So when you vote, I've heard this, don't forget to turn it over.
Yep.
There'll be some extra races there. Starting at the very top, we have a race for Congress. So both Congressional District 1 and Congressional District 2, those seats are up for election. They're really the big ones that are getting a lot of attention are the statewide races. Our governor's seat is open. Governor Otter is not seeking re-election, so as a result there's a lot of tension both on the Republican and on the Democratic side for that seat. And then as you go down from lieutenant governor, there's a race for state treasurer. A number of the statewide offices have very competitive races, including down to superintendent. And so those statewide ones, everyone will get to vote on. They're very active, so you've seen a lot of information. But from there is where we start to separate. So legislature, all the legislative seats are up, so both Senate and the House. I encourage everyone to look up because it really depends on your geography. In some areas, there isn't going to be that much to vote for because the incumbents are seeking re-election, no one has challenged them. Whereas I mentioned earlier, in a few of the districts, there's extremely active races with as many 5 to 7 candidates just seeking one position. And so those races, there's a lot to be thinking about.
And is it okay if someone, if they look up their ballot ahead of time, are they allowed to bring that sample ballot with them or maybe make a little cheat sheet so that because names, you know, if, like we were saying, if there's 5 to 7 names for one race, they might forget the name that they've, you know, done a little research on or something?
Yeah, absolutely. You're allowed to bring in resources and bring in information. We're very cautious about making sure people don't bring political, so you can't be wearing your sign for your favorite candidate or wearing a t-shirt. But in terms of bringing your sample ballot or other, you know, just a handwritten note of the people you intend to vote for, that's absolutely okay. And we encourage it because it makes it easier for people.
Yeah, just because there's so many, you know, names this year on the ballot and things like that.
There really are. I mean, one of the things I mentioned the big races, they're getting a lot of attention, but we also have county races. So we have 2 commissioner seats. Half of our county offices, so assessor, clerk, treasurer, and coroner are all up for election, as well as numerous district judges are on the ballot. So you get to weigh in your judges. One of the ones I hear about frequently from voters is you're going to see precinct committeemen. These are partisan offices held by both political parties have precinct committeemen. It's a local position to just your local precinct. Those are on the ballot and you do get to vote in those races. I'm sure in some areas that those people have been jockeying for votes. But it's one of those people aren't prepared for, and just there's going to be a lot, so you might as well see your ballot in advance and it'll make it smoother for you.
Definitely. All right, so let's talk about maybe election night results. You know, where can you find them? How quick do they come in? You know, things like that, because the polls are going to close at 8 o'clock. Are people instantly going to be able to see something online, or are, you know, we going to have to wait a few hours? How's the process?
So the process is actually today, we're kind of beginning the process. Throughout the day today, we've been opening the absentee ballots, separating those, getting the ballots ready to be counted. They won't actually be tabulated until tomorrow. So we'll start counting with the equipment tomorrow during the day. So while voters are out at the polls voting, behind the scenes, we'll be getting those absentee ballots counted. All our early voting ballots, they use the same technology at the polls where they're scanned in the ballot box. And so we'll be getting all of that ready. So as soon as voting ends, we can release those first results. What that means for this election is while the polls close at 8 p.m. here locally, they don't close until 9 p.m. our time in northern Idaho. So we can't release any results until everyone has finished voting on the governor's race and everything else. And so we will hold all our results until 9 o'clock, and right at 9 o'clock, all those absentee early voting results will be released. Right now, that looks like it'll be about 15,000 votes that will be released here in Ada County alone, which will give us some early indication as to what the night's going to hold as we tabulate the rest of the results.
Okay, so, and they can go online to adacountyelections.com and view the results as they're coming in.
adacountyelections.com. They can view the results as we release them. That'll probably be about every 15 minutes or so. But as we do it, we have some neat tools on there that show you the geography of the area. So we have every precinct will be colored by which candidate is leading in that precinct. You can dial in and see what the turnout was in your local area. I know the real political junkies and the candidates love to follow this information so they can kind of see which regions support whom and how everything goes. So if you want to know who your neighbors are generally supporting, go follow online and you can see all that detail.
I know you can't predict or guarantee like what time results are going to all be tabulated tomorrow, but say everything does go smooth, but due to the amount of people that, you know, the amount of people we have running, do you have any type of guesstimate? Because, you know, sometimes with these types of races, it used to be wait until you wake up in the morning and then, you know, we go online and look up at the results. Is there any indication if things went smooth?
Yeah.
Everything went flawless.
I'd say I'm very thankful, as I know most of our staff is. We are beyond the days of waiting until the next morning to find out who won. A couple of years ago, we improved all our equipment and upgraded it. The result is now really the size of the election matters and how many people vote matters, but we should finish sometime between 11 and midnight most likely. You know, we can't guarantee that. We're going to take our time to make sure we get the results accurate first and foremost. But with the processes and the tools that we've developed, we're pretty confident we'll get it into the evening so candidates will know. I wouldn't be surprised if we're not the last county to finish in the state, so these big races, attention might be drawn elsewhere as we go through. We're fortunate to have some great tools here in Ada County to make this process go smoothly for everybody. And
I think one thing that I found fascinating when I have been over at elections with you guys is that our dedicated poll workers who do an amazing job, they drive the results into the Ada County Elections office. So I think our furthest precinct is Melba.
Yeah, that's correct.
From the elections office. So we have to wait until that secure ballot box, it's locked and everything gets driven in though.
Those poll workers are definitely the unsung heroes of the day. They start early, as early as 6:30, 7 a.m. in the morning. They work all the way through the day to make sure everyone has the opportunity to vote. Then they have to count all the ballots, pack them up, and then, as you just mentioned, drive them into our elections office so we can get the results out to the public. And so it's easy, a 14, 15-hour day for some of these workers, which takes huge dedication to be able to serve your community that way. It is definitely, there's a lot involved behind the scenes. Hopefully for most voters though, you won't notice it. It'll be a seamless process.
Yeah, it's flawless.
You'll just go in, you'll cast your vote, get your I voted sticker, and move on.
Yeah, and the security over at Ada County Elections as well. Like you're talking about, you know, preparing those absentee ballots today. Everything is secure. Everything. The Ada County Sheriff's Office is involved. I mean, the level of security that we go to, you know, protect this election and any election that you guys run. It's so important.
Yeah, this year, you know, there has been a lot of attention regarding that, especially cybersecurity. I mean, you see on a national level a lot of attention, but we've taken proactive steps, working with Ada County IT and others to do testing, to do penetration tests and other things to make sure everything's bulletproof. The one great thing in our system here in Idaho, we use a paper ballot, so if we have a recount or anything like that, we get to go back to the original ballot you voted on and check those votes. It's not just relying on computers, but also the systems that we use to count all those votes. They're never online, so we don't have to worry about somebody hacking in through the internet. We never keep them online. Even when we release the results on our website, it's because we've removed the information from our main computers and then uploaded them someplace else, just to make sure that it's seamless and we can all have faith and sleep easy at night knowing that the results are accurate.
Yeah, and with how many people are involved on election night, the Ada County Elections Office warehouse is secure. I mean, there's not everyone can go into every room, and it's very secure over there. So it's very impressive. I was just blown away the first time I ever saw you guys run an election. I'm like, wow, it's amazing what you guys do. So kudos to you. Yeah. Okay, let's talk about maybe where people can go for more information. You know, hopefully you're watching right now and you're looking to find out where your precinct is. Can I view that ballot? Again, what do I need for same-day voter registration? So let's talk about maybe our website and other places they can get some information.
Sure, a couple things. I encourage everyone to just come up with a plan for tomorrow, right? It is too late now to vote early prior to Election Day, so your opportunity to vote is between 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. tomorrow. Go online, find out where you vote. So adacountyelections.com, we have all the resources there to be able to look up your polling place. When you look up your polling place, you can see a sample ballot. Get those tools so that you can make a plan and go to the polls tomorrow. Really, that should take care of most of the things. That's going to be the same site, though. If you want to follow the results and see what's going on, you can do that. There's more additional information statewide at idahovotes.gov, which is run by the Secretary of State. So either location, you should be able to get the tools and information you need to make voting go smoothly tomorrow.
And also our social media pages. Ada County Elections has a Twitter account. Ada County Elections has a Facebook page, an Instagram page as well. So yeah, if you're going to be on social media, tomorrow's definitely a busy day for social media. When it comes, Election Day is always busy. So we encourage you to follow those pages. And plus, there's so much that goes on throughout the year. It's always a good place for resources. If you do have any questions, you can always call 208-287-6850 if you are maybe not on social media or something like that.
Catch you right there. So
did I say it wrong?
Yeah, there's one digit wrong.
Okay,
so
correct me, please.
Yeah, sorry. I want to make sure you get the information. So it's 208-287-6860 for the Elections Office.
Got it. We'll make sure that's on our website. So, all right, Phil, I appreciate the time today, and hopefully you have a very smooth election tomorrow. So good luck to you guys.
Thank you, Kate. Yeah. And please make sure you get out and vote. We put a lot of work into it, so we want to make sure as many people have the opportunity to vote as possible.